The Officer is the most popular subclass in Chivalry 2, and it's no secret why. With a great weapon selection, superb versatility, and relative ease of access, it's a great option for all players. Today, we're going to go over every aspect of this subclass in depth to leave you with all the information you need to dominate the battlefield. Strap in and get ready to patrol. The Officer is a knight, and that means heavy defense and low mobility. Your armored stature leaves you with the slowest movement speed in the game, but you can be sure that you'll brush off kicks, jabs, and low damage bladed weapons with ease. You are, however, susceptible to the damage bonuses of chop and blunt weapons to make up for the boost in health. Be wary on the battlefield for anything that resembles an iron baseball bat, as they can and will two-shot you. The Officer has what is arguably the strongest, most versatile kit in the game, sporting a whopping 4 unique weapons. Your primary weapons consist of the longsword, a two-handed sword with no shortcomings but an emphasis on stab damage. This thing isn't a jack of all trades, it's a king of all trades. The war axe, a threatening axe that has slightly more range than the battle axe at the cost of damage. Still hits like a truck, two-shotting all classes when used correctly. The heavy mace, the weapon that isn't particularly amazing, but has its moment when you realize their team is made up of 90% knights. The poleaxe, questionable choice with what looks to be no standout qualities, but a special attack that feels quite splendid in a way that's oh so satisfying. And lastly, the greatsword, a fine work of blade with wide sweeping attacks and oppressive damage at the cost of speed. But another reason why the greatsword is so awesome is because it can one-shot archers. Not that you planned on getting disarmed or anything, but your secondaries are nothing to scoff at either. They consist of the sword, an infamous weapon that makes quick work of any foe with relentless combos that just don't stop. The axe, a meteor option with an emphasis on powerful overheads but shorter range. The mace, a knight's worst enemy that does great work at the cost of hit stop, but it pairs well with any bladed primary. Who said knights can't play at range? Not that kind of range. The Officer is equipped with 4 throwing knives which can be drawn while holding your secondary. These cute butter knives are a great way to trigger environmental hazards, damage enemies who run away, and finish off already incapacitated enemies. But they're also just a generally good tool for any and all situations due to the versatility of using your secondary whilst holding them. A small tip for the road, you can pull out your throwing knives from the get-go along with your secondary if you first press 3. I don't know the button on console. This saves you just a moment of time compared to pulling out your secondary before pulling out your throwing knives. Lastly, the Officer is bestowed one of the best abilities of all, the Warhorn, a rallying blare which regenerates health of nearby allies and yourself on top of providing overheal that stacks on top of that. However, each class has a different maximum overheal limit. Not to worry, of course, yours is the maximum. The Warhorn also has the added benefit of reviving players in its vicinity when used. A pro tip to follow, pay attention for fellow horns, because if you use yours immediately after an ally uses theirs, you won't be helping anyone, and the points rewarded will show for it. Overall, the Officer kit is quite potent, equipped with the tools to handle every situation you'll encounter. All that armor has its uses. Being a knight grants Officer the ability to tackle enemies. I won't go too in-depth on tackling as I already have in a previous video linked in the above card, but to sum it up, when used correctly, the tackle can leave an enemy open to your allies' attacks, while simultaneously granting you a free strike. Unfortunately, those metal plates take their toll. Endurance isn't your strong suit, so you suffer a 50% increased dodge cooldown. Use that get-out-of-jail-free card sparingly. As an Officer, you're the beacon of light in the sea of mud and metal. You're the paragon of the battlefield in a horde of warriors that either are inspired by you or quiver in fear at your very sight. Your tanky stature and hefty arsenal earn you the most desirable spot in the fold, on the front line. Take the enemies head on and lead your team into the charge with your impeccable skill. No room for error, no time for strategy. Just place yourself in between your allies and the enemy and then start killing. Occasionally, when the battle dictates it so, you should utilize your Warhorn to reinforce your team's push and heal yourself. If you take too long, however, then your allies will die before you can activate it. Use it too early, and you've wasted its potential on just a little overheal. You'll need to find the perfect moment that heals as many people as possible just before they bite the dust. If you continue to play well, you'll soon find yourself with 200 health, reaching unstoppable levels of tankiness on the field. This should properly utilize your passive, Unbreakable, which allows you to further replenish your Warhorn by absorbing damage. You can get hit, block, and even counter incoming attacks to trigger this. This creates a situation where you're rewarded for leaning into your role. By tanking damage for the team and playing on the front line, you'll generate charge for your Warhorn, allowing you to use it more often. All that's dandy. However, you're not actually unbreakable. Your slow nature and inability to dodge often will have you cornered easily if you overstep. While you should be pushing forward onto the objective, it's more important to maintain a close proximity to your team. With an ally at both of your sides, you can focus your attention forward. Overall, the officer is extremely potent on the battlefield, but he's not complex. Sometimes simple is what's needed to get the job done. Beyond ensuring your own survival by leaning on teammates and timing your ability usage properly, there isn't much to it. Because of his access to an extremely powerful arsenal, versatility on the field, and tide-turning Warhorn, I consider the officer S tier on offense and A tier on defense. Now you're ready to go on patrol. Draw your weapon and get out there, officer.